Hey everybody, we're a couple of days into this shelter-in-place order, and I've been asked to go into a little bit greater detail about this this piece from the Boston Consulting Group that I've mentioned, the COVID-19 Rapid Response Checklist, and exactly how we used it and what we implemented of it. So I want to dive into that. If you go into it, and the link will be included, but one of the first parts about team health and safety, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because at this point I'm just assuming everybody's doing that as a responsible citizen, reducing risk of transmission. And we've all been hearing that. That's readily available, the ways to go about doing that on the different media sources. But beyond that, there's the supporting those that may be infected. There's a checklist in here for that. Fortunately, here at Deksia, we haven't had to deal with that yet. We haven't been confronted with anybody that's been ill, and hopefully we don't have to use this checklist. But if we do, I have a checklist right here that I can follow and I have some confidence in. But moving on into the managing the stress and boosting morale, I found this really valuable. I'd mentioned it earlier, to communicate proactively about all aspects of the business and the efforts that it's undertaking. I think internally that's really important, but also externally with your vendors and your partners and your client base. One of the things that I liked about it was start thinking about target setting and implications for compensation in a time of uncertainty. So what we did here is we looked at some metrics, and I'll go into that a little bit later, or maybe in another piece, but just building performers around contingency plans, A, B, and C that were decided by, financial metrics, and deciding what course the company would have to take. But even that simple exercise has given me, I've come to realize the value in it is the comfort that I have knowing that we have a plan ready to execute should we need to, instead of the sense of uncertainty that I'm getting speaking to a lot of business owners and business leaders right now, not knowing what's going to happen, maybe waiting and seeing. But this gives me a plan that I don't want to execute, but if I have to, it's there for me to follow, and I took the time to develop it. Moving on, the business strengths piece, preserve top line and build trust with customers. Again, there's a few in here that I felt really particularly applied to me. There's more in here that may apply to you, but reach out to customers to understand their situation and needs. I've been spending a lot of time over the last couple of days calling clients and seeing where they're at and how this is really affecting them emotionally, financially. I know they have teams that they're worried about. They have a business that they've built that they're worried about, or that they are worried about. But just talking to them and trying to figure out, is there any way that I can help? Is there anybody I know that can help? Can I share any of this information or share anything with them that I've done that hasn't worked, that maybe they shouldn't try in my experience? But just taking the time to talk to other people not only might help them, but it'll probably help you as well. Define actions, messages to show confidence and ensure ability to deliver to customers. I think this is important too. I've spoken to a number of business leaders that are under the assumption that, yeah, my vendors know that I'm okay, we're good, we're going to keep doing this. But then I've talked to a number of other ones that have gotten feedback and questions from their vendors, or their suppliers, like, hey, are you going to be able to deliver these products? Are you going to be able to pay, for the product? And I think assumptions right now could be dangerous because nobody's been through this, and a lot of us our imagination can take over with assumptions. So I think clear communication through multiple channels is a valuable lesson that can be learned out of this document. Moving on more into business strengths, reinforce the ability to supply. I touched base on that briefly, but it's also important for you to do, and here it says, an audit of your supply chain, right? So whether you're getting products for manufacturing or whether you need things for construction, or in our case, maybe we need print materials or some clothing material delivered for a client that's logoed up or something, making sure that we're going to be able to get that actually from our distributors, because in a lot of cases we can't. So being proactive about contacting them and seeing where we're at. Moving on, and there's more in here, but prepared for a bounce back scenario. This one's really important. So there's some people that are really getting hit hard, and understandably they're pessimistic, but we will bounce back. History shows we always do. It's always happened. So to be prepared for that would be prudent. Put together, identify company-specific scenarios informed by potential microeconomic scenarios. Ensure proper capacity. So when it does bounce back, if you're going through layoffs, are you going through layoffs that are cutting into not just the fat of the organization, but cutting into the muscle? Are you going to be able to come back? Is your business going to be viable with the cuts you're having or that you are making? Actively assess acquisition opportunities. May seem counterintuitive to a lot of us, but there's going to be a lot of deals on the table, and if you're in a position to capitalize on them, you should be paying attention to that. Explore opportunities to configure comeback marketing campaigns. I might be a little biased on this one, but that's a real thing. We're working with a number of clients that see this as an opportunity. They're confident they're going to come out of it strong, and they're trying to solidify their position in the marketplace, and they're moving full steam ahead to take advantage of any lack of noise in their competitive space. Prepare for bold moves and implement learning with regards to business model modifications. Your business may come out of this and look a little bit different or a lot different than it did going in. Start thinking about those and putting a plan together. Financial resilience piece. I found this really helpful as well. Ensure rigorous, prudent cash management. One of the first things we did after going through this document was look at AR, cash on hand, available lines of credit, and then of course look at our performas based on payroll and rent and things along those lines. And we used that when we built those ABC contingency plans that I'd mentioned earlier. Very helpful in giving me a sense of peace, I guess, if that's the right word, in this situation, that we have a plan that's informed. It's not going off of our gut or my gut. It is informed on data, metrics, and numbers and percentages. And prepare for significant changes in cash conversion cycle. So terms with your clients may change. You may negotiate that. You may not be able to negotiate that. It may just have to happen. Be ready for that. Think about that. That's also key to make sure that you're keeping the lines of communication open with your current client base. That's something I took out of it, and something I've really been trying to do as well, because we all know that cash is going to be important for this, and these relationships are going to be important coming out of this. Moving on, ensure cost discipline. Again, that's just mitigating discretionary spending was something that really stood out to me. We have a fair bit of discretionary spending in our company for culture purposes and travel and things like that. And well, with the travel, obviously we cut that, but a lot of the other stuff it's on hold for now. Moving on, revised financial plan. Again, some of this stuff is a little redundant, but go through your financial plan, dust it off if you have to, clean it up, redo it. It'll make you feel better, and it'll give you the information to make informed decisions. I've heard it put as gold level decisions when you're making decisions off of the information. Moving on to execution and clarity, empowering the team. This is really important, even in this time, and as always, your team is the most important assets that you have in an organization. So communicating with them and telling them how they can actually be helping the organization can add a lot of horsepower in a time like this. So I can't overstate how helpful that's been for us over the last week. Lead with purpose and integrity. This is a good one. There's no other time than like this that your resolve for your mission statement or your values as an organization or your why, whatever terminology you use, is going to be put to the test, and you're really going to find out, and everybody's going to find out if it actually stands for anything. So make sure you're leading with purpose and upholding your mission, vision, and values. It's something that we've been trying to do when we've been having conversations with staff, difficult conversations, and vendors and clients. But again, I'll include this in the link. Use it, please. Also, share your best tip that you've come up with in the last couple of days. Again, none of us have ever been through this. Even if you went through 9/11 in business, or if you were working through the recession, this is still different. Please share your tips with everybody. We're better off together. Thanks. Stay healthy.